right. What is crack-a-lacking? All 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 right. What is crack-a-lacking? What is crack-a-lacking? All right. What is crack-a-lacking? All right. What is crack-a-lacking? All right. What is crack-a-lacking? All right, cool. So let's do a market analysis here based off what we're looking at now, post day. So that's going to be the first thing we do. Second thing we do is we're going to look and see why the market moved at certain levels. What are some of the confluences? Do a market analysis here based off what we're looking at now, post day. So that's going to be the first thing we do. Second thing we do is we're going to look and see why the market moved at certain levels. What are some of the confluences? Do a market on here too. I had it open 3 times. Okay. There we go. So that should be fixed. Let me know if it's not fixed. So what we'll do is we'll start with why the market moved the way it did today. What were some areas we could have looked at for positions? Why those areas were good areas for positions? What lined up from a confluence perspective? And then what we think based off of where we closed today, where we're going to be going, and what our bullish and bearish theses are. So first, let's take a look at. Let me close this a little bit because I don't need that right now. So let's take a look at what we did today at open first. So opening candle here, right around this 630 level. Pre-market had a nice pullback. What was the pre-market trend was right here. So pre-market trend being right here, 1, 2, breakthrough, pullback level being right here. So first thing we always do is we try to figure out why we pulled back to this level right here. First thing we want to look at is why was this the support? So let's take a look here on the 5-minute first. And what do we see in this area? We have price displacement zone from here to here. It's price displacement zone. So that's the first piece that we've seen and identified. Then we can do our fib retracement right here, which lines up with our 38.2 right at our price displacement zone. So both of these things lined up simultaneously with each other. Secondary, we want to look for any sort of divergences that we see that may identify it. So for this specifically, let's look at RSI. We have 2 swings here, swing 1 and swing 2. RSI, swing 1, swing 2. We have divergence here from an RSI perspective as we moved into a price displacement level that aligned with a Fibonacci retracement level. So those are 3 things that we've identified very quickly of a reason why this was a good place to take a position. So that's the. Is there anything else that lines up with here? And now we want to go maybe a little bit higher time frame first. Okay, we're not seeing anything there on the 1 hour. 4 hour, we're not seeing anything. And then lastly, let's go to the 1 minute. and take a look at the 1 minute chart here. So the only thing that I see here on the 1 minute chart is this support that held right here that also aligns with this area. So really the three things that aligned here perfectly were our Fibonacci level. We had our price displacement, which is a value area that typically needs to be filled, or price needs to be brought back to it for validation. And then we also had our divergence as we moved into that level right here too. So you can see here on the 1 minute, you can see the significant divergence as we move down. So really good position to be able to take because it aligned multiple indicators. Multi-confluence is king. If you identify it, it's always a good thing. And then we had a break of this trend. Right, looks like the trend was from right here. And we had a reversal pattern in this area too. So four things here. So again, 1 hour value area with price displacement, the 30% retracement level, a divergence from an RSI perspective. You can use a different indicator if you'd like to use a different indicator. And then we also had this reversal pattern being created here with this downward resistance, with this flat bottom. And oftentimes when we see this during uptrends, but on pullbacks, this tends to be where price then consolidates and then we break over it with continuation to the upside, which is what we saw here happen. And then once this broke out, price then started basing right here. We had a price base right here. And this price basing is where we held over right here. This was price basing, pre-market price basing. And always want to put these levels on your charts because they're extremely important. Wherever you see price basing in the pre-market, you want to put those on your charts because those levels, either it's resistance basing or support basing, and those levels tend to hold as good support and or resistance levels. So that was pre-market. Again, we first want to identify the trend. We want to know if the trend is broken. If the trend's broken, we want to look for retracement levels. And then now that we have our retracement level here, now we can ask ourselves, okay, what's the upside target? What is the extension target? So we can grab this up here, pull it back to the 31%. And you can see right here, we have some additional confluence that we could have taken a trade on. So we have the 50% extension here. We have this trend line that we broke through right here being retested that pulled us back for almost 100 points here, that this could have been a really nice scalp after the opening move up before we consolidated and then continued to the upside. So another area right here that was really good for us to be able to take a trade. And then we started to hold these fib levels. And then again, we held this fib level right here. And up here, we didn't really hit any sort of level. But as you can see, we had some really good divergence here from an RSI perspective on this move up. So first swing, second swing, third swing, and then a micro trend break, retest, and then a move back down. So again, another good level to be able to have traded here. And then divergence was 100% on point. So any questions on that piece? And again, if you're new here or if you have anybody else that trades, please send them, please subscribe, send it over. And we'll just continue to do these things together every single day. But is there anything else from here or from here that you guys have questions about? And this is what everybody should be doing every single day. Instead of sitting and trying to predict once the market closes, what's going to happen, go to the chart and let the chart tell you. Let the chart tell the story. You don't tell the story. You're not Jesus. You're not the wise man, right? You're always going to be 50%. right and 50% wrong. It's just how it works. So go back and allow the market to tell you the story of why certain things happen in certain areas. So again, move up here. We had a nice pullback. We held at a retracement level. We put our extension level we broke out of right here, which is the 2.36. We squeezed out of here, and then we held on this 50%, which was right at our trend retest from the breakout from pre-market. And then we had continuation up, and then we had a nice divergence here at this peak, where we noticed this divergence, and that's where we had our nice reversal for the day. So divergence basically means that your indicator is doing the opposite of what price action is doing and of what price is doing. So for example, RSI, and you can use this with all indicators. You can use it with RSI, all 500 indicators that there are, you can use from a divergence perspective. So RSI specifically tells you buyer and seller strength. So typically if it's over 50, then buyers are in control. If it's below 50, sellers are in control. That's how it works in a sense. And then when it's over 70, it's at an extreme. If it's below 30, it's at a sell extreme. And basically you should be seeing this move with price action. So if we're getting, so I'll give you an example here. So you see right here how we're getting stronger and stronger. Here, let me clear out my chart real quick. So if you see right here how we have this pullback. Okay, and then this shows a pullback. But then we have a move up. So it shows strength here on this move up. Then we have a break of that high, and it moves up even more. And then this validates that, right? Because it's the strength in the market. This is buy and sell strength. So this move is validated by RSI because RSI is basically saying, yes, the price is moving up, buyer's strength is moving up. This is valid. But when you see something like this, where you have one peak, another pushback up to that same high, and then a break of that high, but you're seeing complete opposite, right? You're seeing weakness, right? Sell pressure is increasing, but price is doing the opposite, moving up. That's divergence. You can also see this from volume, from a volume perspective. From a volume perspective, it would be continuing to have moves up, but volume declining. So if we continue to have moves up, but volume declines, that's price to volume divergence. So a lot of these things that you can just notice as you're looking at it. Why does the market pull back to Fibonacci levels? That's a good question. I don't have an answer. I just know that, and we went over this on one of our streams a little bit ago, where we actually looked into Fibonacci specifically, and it is a numeric sequence that is present in all things in reality, whether it's biology, art, whatever it is, and the market just likes to move. The market is all math. That's all it is. It's not somebody there picking levels, right? Nobody has the time for that. It's basically all math. And these systems that are used are programmed through mathematic sequences and equations. And Fibonacci is one of the only indicators that uses those same types of sequences and indicators. So Fib levels are always great, always important. Silver works really well with Fib levels. So same type of stuff. But yeah, I would definitely research into it and just understand what it is, because it's pretty cool. So now let's do our analysis. Okay. So let's imagine we don't know what happened today. We're just looking at the chart for the first time. And we start on the weekly time frame. And we are taking a look at anything that stands out from a trend perspective. So we have this trend here. Are we going to come back to it? We're not sure, but we're just drawing some areas. We have this top here, which is our all-time high. And then we have this area right here, which looks like a decent trend. And then now let's go to the daily, where we can start redrawing these things a little bit better. So this is why we held here. See that? So the reason why we held in this point right here, and if you've been watching my streams, I've been bringing this up very frequently. When you see this, I'm going to zoom in because from far away it doesn't seem like anything. When you see this, like there's something invisible that's creating like a line through two wicks like this. Always draw it. Always draw it. Yeah, we'll go to silver right afterwards. Always draw it. Always make sure you draw it. Because price, once you have two, it's a potential to create a trend. And you want to draw it and you want to see how price reacts to it. So this was a nice area right here. There's nothing else here that I would have seen on the 4 hour. Let's see. Nothing here on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour. Nothing here on the 1 hour. I mean, literally nothing here on the 1 hour that would have held as resistance. The only thing that would have held this as resistance is these two swings. Look at this. Boom. So when you notice anywhere where you see two wicks, and it looks like if you could imagine a line there, it would look like there's a line moving in that direction. Draw the line. Draw the line. I'm telling you. I've been doing this a while, and it for some reason always tends to work out. So we know that this was the trend that it's holding right now. Okay, so we're holding this. So I would be drawing this right now if I was you guys. I'd be leaving it on your chart, and I'd be holding that there because this is where price needs to break through for us to get continuation. We also have this resistance high right here, where we have held resistance numerous times over the last 2 months, right? We had support right here. We have resistance right here, resistance, 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 resistance. This area right here is going to be a very important level, and more than likely we will magnetize to it. So this is the upside target one, right around 26,100. So now as we look at our other levels, this trend is still valid. It's not invalid yet. This was where we bounced. So now we have this. Right, really big range here. Really big range here. So is it possible we go back down to 528, 500? Absolutely. It's 300 points. It's nothing. It's nothing. So don't ever count out the market. I mean, this could just continue to go like this and then break back up. Who knows? But again, this is an important level to draw because we already held on it 1, 2, 3 times. Now we've held on another one here, and we're creating a secondary pennant type formation that we may bounce in and out of. So on the 1 hour time frame, let's take a look and see if there's any fib levels that we need to draw here, right? Fib levels so we can see downside or upside price movement. So first thing, I see this trend right here. So we are right on the trend, which is this area right here. Is there anything else that aligns with this trend? Is going to be what I'm going to ask myself. So let's go to a shorter time frame. Let's go to the 5 minute. So we have a 5 minute support right here, right around this area right here. You see these you see these wicks right here? See wick 1, wick 2 on these lows. So I want to make sure that my trend line is aligned perfectly with that on the shorter time frame. Smaller time frames tell you exactly where you should draw your trends. Exactly. And it should not be anywhere other than touching them. They have to be touching. It's necessary. They have to be touching. So this trend here now, if we go to the 1 minute, So now it looks like we've actually already broken through it. If we draw it, nope, actually, it looks like we are right there. So this is the start, this is the middle point, and we are right there. Right there. So when you're drawing your trend lines, you're going to draw them at the 1 hour, you're going to draw them at the 30 minute, then you're going to go down to the 5 minute, then you're going to go down to the 1 minute. And what you're going to notice every single time you go to a different time frame, you're going to have to adjust the trend line. You have to adjust it because there's too much price fluctuation and difference at different time frames. And so you've got to go to the 1 minute to draw your trends, but at least you can put them on the chart on the higher time frames. So right now the thesis is, if we hold this trend right here, let's say we open, we hold this trend right here, are we going to move back up to this high, or are we going to break below? So this really is going to be our inflection point, an indicator of what's going to happen right around this area right here once market opens. We will see what happens there. Let's take a look at our fib levels. So let's go here, draw. Again, we held at the 38.2%. So let's look at our upside target. If we do extend back up, what is our upside target? And does it align with anything else from a long-term perspective? So 100% extension right here at 26,031, which is close to this area, but it's not exactly 100. So we'll just draw that box from that 26,031 to these highs. And the question will be, will this hold as resistance? And then we have a lower high here that'll push the market back down. Who knows? So now let's look at 1.618, right around 220, and see if we have anything here from a 1 hour or 4 hour perspective that would cause this level to be a level that is important. So let's draw that. Let's go to our 4 hour first. Take a look over here. So we have this price displacement here on the 4 hour. We have the support of it exactly where we have our extension level. So right around here. Let's go to the 1 hour. We have a really nice displacement candle here. So this is what I like. So you see how we have these 3 candles right here. Right here. Okay, I like this. I like this. These candles they basically agreed on the price zone right here, but they never touched. So these areas right here, I've noticed always tend to be really good levels for reversal trades. So this lines up perfectly with our 26222, literally on the dot with our 26222. So upside target 26222. We will have some sort of resistance here at 26031, but 26222 definitely looks like a very good upside target before we get any sort of where we can get a decent sized pullback here. So now downside, I don't really know what to say from a downside perspective, but let me put this in chat so we can save it. Okay, so that's in chat. Okay, so now downside. Where are our supports from a downside perspective? That way, if we do break and we do drop, we know where we want to take our position. So again, we want to look at 4 hour, 1 hour levels. We haven't really broke below any sort of trend, so we can't really draw our extensions yet, but we can draw retracements. So if this trend right here breaks, so this is what I want you to watch for while you're trading this. If this trend breaks, what is the possibility of price movement to the downside where we could possibly catch a retracement trade. So at this point right now, if this stays as the high, if this stays as the low, we have this area right here, which is our 38%, which aligns perfectly with our support right here before this most recent breakaway. We have our 50% right here that aligns with this support candle on the hourly. I don't see much right here, but we can go to the 1 hour and we can see. And then down here are 78. Once we get down to 78, I don't even look at bounces anymore. I typically like the 50% or the 38% to hold. These are the two levels that I like to hold. Once we start breaking below, we tend to see less people interested in taking a position. Let's go to the hourly. So again, the hourly right here, it's, on the 50%, we have some really good levels right here. We have this candle that held. We have these two highs that we had to break out of where we had a high volume price displacement, which we talk about. Always look at volume as the indicator of what levels are most important when it comes to a support. And so this area right here does look like a good level from a support perspective on the hourly. And then you also have right here, this area right here. So 720 and then 640 would be my two support levels. Let's go to the 30-minute, see if anything else makes us feel good about this, right? Again, this level right here, this level right here, both look good. Nothing here, nothing here. Let's go to the 5-minute. Again, we got to redraw our trend because we did it on the higher time frame. Draw there. That's our trend. So actually, it's a little bit lower down here. This trend looks like we're holding on this 23%. So yeah. What happens with this trend is going to be the indicator of what we need to be very intentional about. The price will magnetize to this trend line. It will. We're too close to it now for it not to do it. So I would be watching what happens here, possibly taking a long trade on this trend if it lines up, for example, with this area right here, which is our breakout to the upside before we had our peak. This area right here. So I'd be looking to see if this breaks. Then again, remember our targets are going to be down here, right around this level. And then I really don't like the 38%. So I'd be focused more on the 50% right around 640. So that's the analysis to the downside. I'm not going to do anything lower than this because we're not moving down yet. But right now, since we are in a uptrend, we're in a multi-day uptrend, I'm really just looking for supports. Where are we going to have our supports? So let's go to silver. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. So gonna break all-time high. Had a nice pullback here. So now we want to do our Fibonacci levels. We have a low here, a high here, and then a decent pullback where trend was broken. So let's go to the hourly, see where we had our trend line. So this trend line is here. So that was not the trend line that broke from this low. So we will not draw. Actually, this is the trend. So we're holding the trend right now. So this very well could break below here. You see how we're curling down, break below here. If that happens, let's go to our low, to our high. And it looks like here we already held on the 50%, which is right here. So this could be where we hold again and then move back up. So this area would continue to be a key area for me from a long perspective. If we break back down here, right around 76, this area right here is a good support. And then if we look at this trend, which is a micro trend within a larger trend, looks like it held there on the 78.6. So I'd be looking for a long right around 76. on the 1 minute. This trend just broke. This micro trend just broke. This does look like it's going to come down. So I would wait for the test of this 76 level, and I'd be looking for a long position here at that 76 level. That's really it. And then the reason why we held here, if you can see here, remember when I told you about those levels that I like, where we have price, the wicks almost touching but not touching right here. This is a displacement where we have a very small gap where price doesn't touch. This is where we held right here as a good resistance. So that was a really good trade to take right there today, is where we saw that. So I would go back again and just look at, you know, what happened during the day, why you missed the trade. You want to look for, you know, divergences and certain things to remind yourself, okay, this is what I need to look at highs and lows and key areas, and then make sure that you're taking those trades. So with that, that's it. That's our analysis. We'll see what happens at open. And then tonight, depending on what direction that we take, we'll jump back on and we'll do another analysis and we'll take a look at it. But really, the main focus again is making sure that you have identified your larger key levels. You're not taking a trade in between the key levels, right? Because then it can go either direction for a long period of time. And really just line up a couple other indicators or trends or something else with some key levels so that you know where and when to take your trade. That's it. That's the most important piece. And when you get confident with that, then you don't have to worry about sizing down. Then you're like, no, this is my trade, right? Like here, for example, I just showed you guys these types of levels on NQ. It would have came here and I would have been like, holy cow, we've got some really nice divergence here on these three peaks. Look at this RSI divergence right into a key level. This is the type of trade where I go all in. All in. Because it lines up perfectly. Everything is lining up perfectly. If this doesn't work, then I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, you've got to get to a point where you know that if everything is lining up perfectly for you, you've got to go in heavy. That's it. Like you do not go micro trade on something like this that lines up perfectly. You've got to make sure you know these levels and you've got to take the trades. That's it. So, all right, y'all. Well, I'll jump off. That's our analysis for the day. We reviewed why certain things bounce at certain levels, what we think the market's possible doing, where are our key levels to watch as we move into after hours trading. And then once we start seeing some movement, then again, we'll do it again and we'll go from there. So appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all in a few hours. Please subscribe and like. And if you don't like it, press don't like. I don't mind. It's whatever you like. All right, y'all. We'll see you later.